Faithful, everything I've told you so far has been building to this moment. The trade deadline desperation, the draft strategy, the calculated risks. It's all been leading to one name that could change everything. One pitcher who represents the most realistic path to championship contention. One arm that could be the difference between watching October baseball and watching it from home. You've been patient while we talked about the blockbuster possibilities and the future prospects. You've listened while we debated luxury tax thresholds and college shortstops. But now it's time to talk about the move that makes the most sense, the acquisition that could actually happen, the pitcher who's flying under the radar while everyone else chases the headlines. Because Cubs Nation, sometimes the best moves aren't the ones that generate the most buzz. Sometimes the smartest acquisitions are the ones that other teams overlook. Sometimes the player who can truly transform your rotation is the one nobody's talking about. We need starting pitching. That's not a debate, that's a fact. With Steele, Assad, and Tylon sidelined, our rotation has more holes than a batting practice screen. We need someone who can eat innings, who can give us quality starts, who can be the steady presence that every championship team requires. But here's where it gets interesting, where the Cubs front office brilliance starts to show. While everyone's fixated on the struggling former Cy Young winner with the terrifying ERA, while other teams are chasing the biggest names with the biggest price tags, there's been one pitcher quietly available who could be the perfect fit. Hit that like button if you're ready for the most underrated name at this trade deadline, and subscribe because what I'm about to tell you will change how you think about this organization's championship window. The Arizona Diamondbacks are sellers, Cubs faithful. They're looking to move pieces, and they've got exactly what we need. But it's not just about any pitcher, it's about the right pitcher. The kind of arm that can slot into our rotation and immediately make us better without breaking the bank or depleting our farm system. Zac Gallen is that pitcher, the guy who's had 3 top 10 Cy Young finishes, the guy who's proven he can dominate when everything's clicking, the guy who's about to become a free agent and represents the kind of rental acquisition that could push us over the edge. Now, I know what you're thinking. His 2025 numbers aren't pretty. A 5.15 ERA, 4.76 FIP, and 1. 345 whip that would represent career worsts. But Cubs Nation, this is where we separate the smart organizations from the reactionary ones. This is where we look beyond the surface numbers and see the potential underneath. Gallen isn't broken. He's frustrated. He's not finished. He's ready for a fresh start. He's not damaged goods. He's a 3-time Cy Young finalist who's one change of scenery away from rediscovering his dominance. And unlike the $38 million commitment required for Alcantara, Gallen represents a manageable risk with massive upward potential. The Diamondbacks know they're not competing this year. They know Gallen is going to walk in free agency. They know they need to maximize their return while they still can. This isn't just an opportunity for the Cubs, it's a necessity for Arizona. But here's what makes this move brilliant, what separates it from the flashier alternatives. Gallen has been here before. He's been the ace of a staff. He's been the guy who takes the ball every 5th day and gives his team a chance to win. He's been the pitcher who elevates his game when the stakes are highest. His teammate Merrill Kelly is also available, also set to become a free agent, also representing the kind of veteran presence that championship teams need. But Kelly has made it clear he wants to finish his career in Arizona. Gallen, on the other hand, might be ready for a new challenge, a new opportunity, a chance to prove he's still the pitcher who finished in the top 10 for Cy Young, voting 3 different times. This is where the Cubs' analytical approach becomes crucial. They're not just looking at 2025 numbers, they're looking at track record. They're not just seeing current struggles, they're seeing career accomplishments. They're not just evaluating present value, they're projecting future performance. Gallen in a Cubs uniform makes sense on every level. He's a veteran who can handle the pressure of Wrigley Field. He's a pitcher who's proven he can be elite when everything's working. He's a rental who wouldn't require the massive prospect haul that Alcantara would demand. But Cubs faithful, there's another option that might be even better. While everyone's focused on the big names, while other teams are chasing the obvious targets, there's been one pitcher who's actually outperforming everyone else mentioned. One arm who's not just available, but represents incredible value. Anibal Sanchez. Wait, that's not right. Let me correct that. Edward Cabrera is the pitcher who's been flying under the radar. The guy who's actually produced more than Alcantara this year while being significantly more affordable. The pitcher who's under team control through 2028, providing the Cubs with exactly the kind of rotation stability they need. Cabrera isn't just a rental, he's a cornerstone. He's not just a band-aid solution, he's a long-term answer. He's not just a desperate acquisition, he's a strategic investment in the future of this rotation. The analytical community loves this guy, Cubs Nation. He's produced better numbers than the former Cy Young winner everyone's talking about. He's younger, cheaper, and under team control for multiple seasons. He's the kind of pitcher who could anchor our rotation not just for this playoff push, but for the next several years. This is where the Cubs front office expertise becomes the difference maker. While other teams are making emotional decisions based on name recognition and past accomplishments, the Cubs are making analytical decisions based on current performance and future projection. Cabrera represents everything this organization values: performance over reputation, value over cost, long-term stability over short-term fixes. He's the kind of acquisition that makes this team better immediately while also positioning them for sustained success. But here's the beautiful part, Cubs faithful. We don't have to choose just one. The Cubs have the prospect capital to make multiple moves. They have the payroll flexibility to add more than one pitcher. They have the organizational depth to upgrade this rotation in multiple ways. Imagine a scenario where we acquire both Gallen and Cabrera. Imagine a rotation that suddenly goes from desperate to dominant. Imagine a pitching staff that can match up with anyone in the National League. Imagine October baseball at Wrigley Field with a rotation that no one wants to face. This is what championship windows look like, Cubs Nation. This is what happens when organizations commit to excellence, when they make the moves necessary to compete at the highest level, when they refuse to settle for mediocrity. The Cubs aren't just looking to make the playoffs, they're looking to win the World Series. They're not just trying to be competitive, they're trying to be champions. And that requires bold moves, smart acquisitions, and the kind of calculated risks that separate good organizations from great ones. So hit that like button if you believe this front office can pull off the moves necessary to make us champions. Smash that subscribe button if you want to follow this incredible journey, and let me know in the comments. Which pitcher do you want to see in a Cubs uniform come August? Because Cubs faithful, this isn't just about adding pitching. This is about believing in our championship window, about trusting in this organization's ability to make the right moves at the right time, about proving that sometimes the best acquisitions are the ones that make the most sense rather than the most noise. The trade deadline is coming and the Cubs are ready to make their move. Are you ready to believe in something special?